Tavi Castro, huge influencer in the fitness industry, CEO of Body Engineers, music producer, a man of many talents. Tavi, thank you so much for coming on Perform.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jason.
So, for people who don't know, Tavi started, as an engineer, and he's just been exploding on the internet from his posting. I mean, he has some of the best imagery I've ever seen. Him and his wife are really just blowing up. Can you give us some insight on how you started and some tips on how people can get to where you are?
Yeah, so I mean, long story short, I came over to Europe as a soccer player when I was 14 years old. I had issues with my paperwork, visas, stuff like that, which eventually led me to make the decision to let go of that dream and do a university study. And it was in that transition actually that I discovered, fitness and bodybuilding. Stopping my soccer training caused me to gain weight and to get very I call it fluffy. So I got myself in the gym, and I was, I've always been a very, hyper-focused, dedicated person. If I do something, I want to make sure I do it 100%. So did my own research, read every bodybuilding book and fitness book you can imagine. And it was actually during my study that, with having to work on the weekends as a DJ and producing music, a heavy study, I just really did not have a social life. I didn't, I was not able to take care of my health very well. So I was looking for a way to earn money online, and this was back in 2010, 2011. And of course, working on the weekends, 2-3 nights a week, studying throughout the week. It was quite heavy. It was actually, I was burning out. Essentially, that's what it came down to. I started to burn out. And I needed a way to earn in a different way. And living here in the Netherlands, at that time anyway, I wasn't able to speak the language. So I was very limited in my options for work. So I knew I needed to do something in English and online. And I basically just looked at, what tools did I have? What was I really good at? In my study, being a DJ and marketing myself as a producer, I learned how to build websites. I basically, anything I could learn with regards to, promoting myself and building myself up as a platform, I read everything and did everything I could. And there came a point where I noticed that, my ability to control my body composition, to learn how to train, I was doing very well, and I was starting to look very good for a student at the aerospace engineering faculty. If you can imagine me walking around there, it was quite funny. I'm not your typical student, definitely not your typical aerospace engineering student. I got a lot of friends, a lot of students at that time who were asking me, what I was doing, how I was doing it. I realized I really loved to help them out, and it was really cool to see them progressing and to see them get their six-pack for the first time. These were my friends and my colleagues at the university. And that basically, the combination of me knowing how to build websites, how to program, how to train myself, how to train other people, I thought to myself, well, maybe this is a solution that I could offer online. In essence, I wanted to work less on the weekends as a DJ and the nightclubs, because that was really burning me out. So that was my initial, let's say, trigger to start my own business. And that business is what is now known as Body Engineers. So Body Engineers eventually evolved into a clothing line, and that's how most people know it now. But back in 2012, it was actually an idea for an online coaching platform. And back then, there really wasn't a lot of people doing online coaching. So it was very new, very novel, and most people didn't think you could coach somebody online, as I was trying to ask around if anybody would be interested. So I just kind of, thought, let me give it a go. I'll build a website. I'll get everything ready. The only thing I was missing in my own idea was credibility, because to be a personal trainer, especially 10 years ago, you needed your certificate in personal training. You needed some kind of coaching or training in order to be a personal trainer. But I felt that it shouldn't be that way. I felt that if I was going to be coached by somebody, that person should look like how I want it to look. So that's when I decided I'm not going to go for a coaching certificate, but I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition. So that was in 2012. So I prepped myself. I got myself ready for Musclemania contests. And it was in that trajectory of getting myself in shape. I started to take pictures. I started to, arrange my own photo shoots when I was in shape, not for social media, but just to have evidence for my website of how I looked and how I can look and how I could help other people look the same way. So not knowing that a lot of those pictures, and there was a few that went extremely, that would be, the cause of the initial social media growth that I saw. My Facebook page is now 7.5 million. So back then there was not really an Instagram. It wasn't really Instagram. It was Facebook pages. So I posted these photos on my Facebook before my competition, and it just went viral. At that time, I think I gained like 50,000 followers in a week, which was huge at that time. I went on to do the competitions, and I won the British show as a junior. I won the European show in Paris as a junior, and then I went on to Musclemania America in Las Vegas, and I won the Model America title.
Wow!
So of course I wasn't expecting all of that. I was broke as hell, and just I could barely get myself to these shows. But the organizers, the promoters, everybody really wanted me to compete, so they helped me out.
Wow!
And once I had gotten those titles, and all these photos had gone viral, it was time for me to try. And this was at the end of 2012, to try and go online with body engineers as a online coaching. And at that time, I had no reference to how much I could ask. So, I went live and offered my online coaching for a year for $100.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I was, of course, I didn't know what to expect in terms of, if people actually believed that you could be coached online, or that it was actually beneficial. So I went online, and within the first month or two, I had to stop the website because so many people were signing up that I was not able to Skype with them and to handle their coaching.
Wow.
I would go to aerodynamics class, and in between my class, I would Skype with clients across the world, and then go to the next class. So my life turned from coaching, from doing my study and working on the weekends, to doing my study and Skyping with 30, 40 people a week.
Wow.
So it was quite crazy, and it was amazing because I could pull back a little bit on my work as a DJ, and in the nighttime on the weekends, that was what was really killing me. And yeah, so the social media, the photos went viral. I won the competitions. The online coaching platform was a huge success. And I was really enjoying it. And the thing that I did is, which eventually led to, Body Engineers as how it is now, is my clients, when they would achieve their goal, and for most of them it was, I want to see my six pack for the first time. I thought it would be cool that, I would make a tank top. I just bought normal tank tops from the market, and I would print my logo and my website on the tank top and send it to them as a gift.
Wow.
So never had ambitions to start a clothing company under Body Engineers at all. They were just gifts for my clients who had, at the end of their coaching, had reached their goal.
Wow.
But once I started doing that in 2013, a lot of the people I was sending these tank tops to, they were so happy with, you know, what they learned and how they looked and the gift that I had given them, that they simply started saying, I want more tank tops. Can I buy them from you?
Wow.
And of course, at that time, I was buying a tank top from a store and just printing it myself. You know, it was costing me like 25 euros to create this tank top. And then I thought, well, okay, I'll put it online for sale and see what happens. So I put these tank tops, you know, on sale for 25 euros, not making any profit at all. And they just started to sell. And what was kind of the amazing thing is that I was giving out so much added value on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel and all the content. I was giving out so much information that people were so, I want to say, grateful to what I was doing, that they wanted to give back a little bit. And the same thing happened with the tank tops. They just started selling like crazy. I didn't fully understand why at that moment, especially because a lot of the sales of the tank top were to people that I wasn't coaching at all. They were just following me on social media. And yeah, eventually I went on to buy my own print machine. I was printing my own shirts, trying to save costs, trying to figure out a way if I could even make money off of selling these tank tops. And it happened. Within a month, I was able to buy the machines to create my own tank tops. And eventually I was able to generate enough profit to create my own designs and order them in completely made from factories. Wow. So that is essentially the birth of Body Engineers as a clothing brand. It began as my clients, online coaching clients who wanted to wear my logo and my website to help promote me.
Was there was there a specific post or something that you did that went viral?
Yeah, so it's like I mentioned, leading up to that first competition, I took a lot of photos in the last weeks leading up to the contest. Again, not because I wanted to post it on Facebook and cause a viral rush, but I wanted those photos for my website, my online coaching website, to show people, okay, I don't have a personal training certificate, but I look like this, and I can help you look like this as well. But after posting a lot of these photos, and there's a specific one that went very viral with the industry, a factory in the background. You see me just kind of standing looking up, but you know, it's that photo is what caused the huge rush on social media.
Is there something that you would tell people that are out there that are trying to get a following like you? Like, can you give us some sort of a tip for people out there in the world that want to be an influencer? Right.
So, I mean, everything is relative, and the reason I say that is that back then, somebody who was in the shape that I was, creating more artful photography. So of course I was in great shape, but it wasn't me flexing in front of the camera. It was me with my shirt off, relaxed, just standing in the rain. So I was really trying to combine cool photography with my physique. And at that time, that was very new and very unique. Nowadays, of course, if I'm going to give advice to somebody who wants to grow on social media now, it's, of course, a lot more saturated and I think a lot more difficult. But what it always comes down to, no matter what it is on social media, building a community, is what are you giving people in your content. So for me, I built up this following, of course, so this photo went viral. But the reason that so many of the people stayed and followed me is because they found my page and they got so much added value. They were learning about nutrition. They didn't have to pay. They were learning about training. I was giving so much information out and trainings and my methods that these people become followers because they're getting something from you. So what you need to figure out for yourself if you want to be successful on social media is, what do you love to do? And what are you willing to give people for free, and give them a lot of it? So whether that's motivational photography, whether that's information, training methods, diets, whatever. Perhaps it's entertainment. Maybe you're a funny person. Maybe you have a great charisma on camera, and you can create funny videos. Now I'm doing some funny videos sometimes in relation to fitness, or the relationship between me and my coach. His head popping out of a pizza box, stuff like that. People are looking for value, and that could come in the form of education, it can come in the form of entertainment, and it can come in the form of inspiration. You inspire them. Mm-hmm. And also very important in the world of social media is relatability. Mm-hmm. So the more relatable you are to a certain demographic, the more of those followers you're going to get. So, for me in the beginning, and all these factors change. There's not one factor that at one moment in time is going to work for you. The first followers I had were all students, because they were seeing a student in great shape. So all the bodybuilders, all the fitness industry, they weren't watching me because I was too small and I was irrelevant. But for all the university students seeing me look the way I did, I was so relatable. They go, well, if he can do aerospace engineering and look like that, then I should be able to do the same thing. And that, of course, evolves as well as you get older, as your life changes. Now I notice I'm getting a lot of dads. So a lot of men who have children, who see me also have children, and I'm still able to keep in shape and run my business. So the dynamic of who you are will change, and you have to try to speak to the people that are like you as much as possible and as often as possible, while giving them as much added value as possible.
Because when I first saw you, I was sitting on the beach in Tulum, and we didn't know each other. And I was watching you and your wife take photos. And me and my girlfriend were saying, like, oh my God, these people look amazing. We never spoken. And I noticed how much time you took. Like, you guys were there in the detail, like every little detail. Like, so your work ethic was amazing. And I know a lot of people out there are probably looking at your photos saying, oh my God, like, this guy's photos are so nice. Like, I'm never going to get photos like that. What advice can you give people who may not be able to may look at you and say, oh, there's no way I can look like that. This guy's got a professional photographer. Because what people may not know is that you actually took these photos yourself. You and your wife, you set up the tripod. I watched you guys do it from the beach. And so a lot of people may think you've got this whole big production team behind you. But from what I saw, it was you and your wife. You guys were working as a team. But you guys were there for a while. Like, I remember I worked out. And I came back, I had a drink, I had a salad. You guys were still shooting, right? Like, so for people out there who are like, oh my God, like, how can I do this? How can I be like Tavi? Do you think that quality is like super important in terms of their photography, or is it the content, or is it the mixture? Like, can you give people, like, everyday people that want to be like you? Because there's a lot of probably everyday people who are looking at you and saying like, oh man, like, this guy's photos. Like, can you give us some insight on like that, what you do, and what advice you can give people who may not, think that they have all the tools in the toolkit to do what you do?
Right. So I think what's also important to mention is that social media, there's also that kind of raw personal thing that also makes content very powerful. So sometimes just a simple bad quality selfie in the mirror will get more engagement, more likes than that perfect photo. So it's not always about getting a perfect photo and always posting perfect photo. Of course, that helps. And when you're an influencer and you're able to create high quality content for brands and for companies, you become very valuable, because they can sponsor you, and they don't have to worry about setting up a photo shoot for you or a videographer for you. They know that you can create the content that they can use, and they can eventually reshare. So my advice is that if anybody's trying to be an influencer, you have to show both worlds. So of course the raw, the family stuff, the cell phone stuff, but you should be able to create high quality content that brands can look at you and go, hey, if I sponsor this person, or I pay this person to post, I pay for their post, but in essence, they are covering the cost of a photographer, of a videographer, of whatever, because they do it all themselves. So in essence, if you want to be an influencer, it is a huge asset and a huge investment in yourself to learn a little bit about photography.
Mm.
So, me being, in the creative part of, the whole spectrum with, the music and the DJing and the producing when I was younger, creating cool content and cool photos for your posters, for your advertisements, was a part of my development. So I learned how to do it myself. At the beginning, I couldn't afford to pay somebody to build my website. So I learned how to build a website. I couldn't afford a photographer. So I learned how to take my own photos, or I would find a friend that had a good camera, and I would learn the settings, and I would, get them to take my photo, and I would edit it myself. So it's definitely always going to be a huge investment in yourself. If you can learn even a little bit about photography, so what camera to use and how to edit your own photos. And the best way to learn that is to look at influencers. I mean, I learn a lot, not from fitness people, but I follow influencers who just have great photography. And I learn from their editing, and I learn from their composition. And I try to bring a little bit of the fitness into that kind of presentation. So is it necessary that you have a super expensive camera and a team taking your photo? Absolutely not. Probably about 95% of the content you see on my page was shot and edited by myself.
And I think that's remarkable, because honestly, like when I look at your stuff, I think you've got a whole big production team. And I think a lot of people out there probably, think the same way. So when I saw you on the beach shooting your own stuff, I was like blown away. But I think a lot of people may not know is that you took the time. Like this was not like one or two photos. Like you guys sat there for a minute, and what do you got in the next 6 months to a year? What are your goals, things that you want to accomplish? Give us some insight on, what's coming up for you.
Right. So, I mean, we're living in a crazy time right now with the coronavirus and everything that's happening. So, I mean, right now, I guess the biggest decision I made this past year is I decided to compete again, specifically the men's classic physique category. I'm very, very close. He's basically like my father, Barry DeMay, who's a bodybuilder from the 80s, Dutch. He came third place at the '88 Mr. Olympia. Incredible physique. Who's been helping me in part of my journey. Obviously, I don't know if that's going to happen this year with the Mr. Olympia. I have no idea if that's even going to happen. About 5 competitions that I had planned last month were all canceled. So
wow.
So that was a goal that I really wanted to achieve this year. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to happen. And the other thing, the Generation Iron is filming a documentary on my life story, which is also very cool. And the other thing is, right now I'm unfortunately having to deal with a hostile takeover attempt of my company, which is it's difficult, but everything comes with lessons. You have to tell yourself, what is the universe trying to teach me this time, instead of why me. So that's also happening right now. So my goals would be, to get body engineers out of this crazy situation and compete, hopefully make it to the Mr. Olympia. And hopefully have another baby soon.
Oh, wow. So how do you manage, I mean, all these things going on? Like, do you have a personal assistant? Like, cause like I'm impressed on like how many things you're doing. And like me, who I've done a few competitions, and I know how taxing it is on my brain. So to be able to, I personally am at the level now where I can't compete and run a business. Like if I were to do a competition, I just don't operate that well when I'm competing. Like I'm not programmed like that. So for people out there who are like, wow, how does this guy run Body Engineers, this clothing company, produce, have kids? Like, can you give us some tips on like your management of like day to day?
So, I mean, it's a question that I've gotten a lot. It is actually a very deep part of the documentary on my life as well, is that I have the ability to hyper focus very intensely. It's part of a diagnosis that I have of ADHD.
Mm.
It's a blessing and a curse for anybody watching who has ADHD or has ever met someone with ADHD. And that means that when I love something, I can hyper focus on it, and I will not sleep until I know everything there is to know about that topic, or I will do whatever it is I need to do in order to achieve that goal. So it's an amazing thing to have, but it's very, very taxing mentally. So I have struggled with depression. I have struggled with anxiety, very deep depression, very deep anxiety. So the last 4 or 5 years, handling everything, what's become very, very important in my life is meditation, spirituality. So, being able to, go full blast for days on end, but then knowing when to stop, and take time for yourself, for your family. It is about knowing your limits. And I guess the best way to describe it is I've learned how to take myself to the very edge of I'm about to burn out, or, and, correct myself with meditation, with rest, whatever it is that I might need. And in terms of juggling my schedule and doing so many things at a time, I'm very passionate about music, about my company, about training. So the things that I choose to love are all also in a sense intertwined. So bodybuilding is fitness, it's traveling, it's designing clothes. I try to combine music by producing the songs that you see on all our advertisements and stuff like that. So everything, it's not a lot of separate entities. Everything is intertwined in a way that, it all kind of flows together.
Is sleep on one of the things you love? Because someone who's doing as many things as you, I'm thinking maybe you don't sleep a lot.
I have issues sleeping. It is part of the the ADHD as well. I need to keep my sleep in check. And get enough rest. I'll sleep 6, 7 hours a day. I hope I hope to do that every day.
I think the juicy thing, like that, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, but I think probably a lot of people listening, when you talked briefly about your company, kind of that arbitrage you mentioned, I think, if you want to open up on that, definitely, I'm sure there's some people that were listening that heard that would probably want to hear a little bit about that.
About the case that Body Engineers is in right now.
Yeah.
So, it's a really unfortunate situation. Long story short, we were reaching a glass ceiling in terms of what we could do for expansion, and I was looking for a partner to help expand into America. So, more than 50% of our sales are to America, and we are shipping out of Amsterdam. So, of course, we were looking to expand. We rented a warehouse in Dallas, and I was looking for investment in order to duplicate our operation in the Netherlands, in America. Met someone on a TV show, actually, for charity. So, in a very positive light, I met this person. Told him my story, told him about my company, and he said, "Well, I'm willing to invest in your company to execute these plans." Long story short, this is not an investor; it's basically a shark, and what they do. I'm learning it, and of course, as I go. Unfortunately, it's a lesson I needed to learn. There are people who will inject money into your company and then pull it out in order to create a situation where they could buy it back for nothing or in a bankruptcy. And that is what happened in this case, is that he injected money, we invested it into stock, we invested it into our operation in America, and then he demanded it back. But of course, the cash is no longer there, which puts you in a situation where he can take certain control of the company. So, of course, I have to defend the company. I have to defend the employees, defend the entire operation. So now I'm basically, in a situation where I need to get this person out, but also get him the money that he injected into the company at the same time. But it's a situation where he doesn't want the money back. He wants the company. So he's blocking any opportunity for me to pay him back by not accepting proposals from new investors, but also not allowing us to go online and sell, sell the product so that we can pay it. So it's a very nasty situation. Fortunately, I do have a lot of investors waiting for the moment that they can step in. It's just a long legal procedure. As a person who's very spiritual and creative, to be stuck in a room with lawyers 3-4 days of the week and dealing with this stuff, it's very difficult for me. But at the same time, I do see it as a compliment. And the biggest line of defense and the biggest mistake that this person made trying to take over the company is that you can't have body engineers without Tavi and Anita and the athletes. So it's somebody who doesn't understand social media. He doesn't understand how a social media based company runs, operates, and is successful. So he thought he could take the company and it would just sell itself, and it just doesn't. So so it's not a nice situation. I think it's a lesson that I needed to learn. So we're staying positive, and we have incredible support. We have over 1 million followers on our social media account for a brand, which is very, very difficult. I'm in fact more proud of the 1 million followers for our brand page than the 11 million followers I have across my social media channels. So yeah, it is what it is, and trying to stay positive and take it as a learning experience.
Obviously during this whole experience, you've probably been very stressed. There's probably been days, especially with your competitions and everything you've got going on, when you really just don't want to do something, whatever it is, because you're stressed, but obviously you've got this schedule. What do you do to perform? Like, what's your secret that we've got the meditation. I get that. That's a huge part. But is there anything else that you do that you could share with our viewers, for the people out there who are probably going through a lot, especially with this COVID? There's a lot of people out of work. There's a lot of people that are probably even thinking about giving up on life, thinking like, fuck, I don't want to do this. What advice can you give them?
Right. So, as I mentioned, meditation is for me the biggest one, because my mind, somebody who's stressed out, somebody who's feeling like giving up, is probably suffering from a mind that just does not stop creating negative scenarios, right? So you lose your job, you lose your business, you lose this, or people, are trying to ruin your reputation or whatever it might be. Your mind is going to create all kinds of scenarios that are negative and have no good ending. Meditation is in fact, simply put, turning off your brain and not thinking. And something like that, when I heard about meditation, I was the same. That's not going to help me. It's a guy like this floating up into space. But the ability to turn off your mind and stop thinking for even 15 minutes allows you to calm down. It allows you to have proper perspective. And in fact, turning off your brain is how creativity is born. So that's when the ideas really start to come in after a session of meditation. And for anybody who's really, really struggling, to stay positive, I would definitely recommend start doing a little bit more research into spirituality and meditation, because everything's about perspective. So even in the horrible situation that my company's in, I'm still able to see the positive lessons and the things that I can learn from it. So I think I mentioned, don't ask the universe, why is this happening to me? Ask it, what are you trying to teach me now? Right? And in terms of like focus, and in terms of, just make sure that whatever it is that you want to do with your life, it's not based around, I just want to earn money. So, even the story of Body Engineers is not one, I want to create a clothing brand and become a millionaire. I gave out my tank tops for free, and I just really enjoyed giving people information and coaching them. And in the beginning, I was asking $100 a year, so it wasn't my motivation was at no point getting rich. And I think that's what made my product and who I became very genuine, and people very appreciated that. Any other tip I would give? Learn. Don't waste a single minute of your day doing something that is not teaching you something that you could use towards that goal. So for somebody looking to be an influencer, take an online class on photography, or watch tutorial videos on editing photos. If you want to have a website, you don't need to be a genius to build a website nowadays. There's a lot of options for learn how to build a website. So if you're wasting time watching Netflix or playing video games or something that's not helping you towards your goals, then you are wasting time, essentially. And you should learn to enjoy learning. That's the hardest part. So everybody wants to take a pretty picture, but they want to jump straight into taking the pretty picture and not knowing how to set up the camera, the composition, editing, raw files, etc. Learn to love the process of learning what you need to learn in order to achieve what you want to achieve.
I want to ask you, that's great. And I want to talk to you now about fat loss, because I know you've got an amazing physique, especially when you're getting ripped. I want you to tell us about what you would do. Say you're in a scenario where you need to lose weight quick. Let's say 24 hours, you got to lose 5 pounds, 6 pounds, whatever the number is. What does Tavi Castro do? Give us the scoop, give us the inside on what is your secret weapon to losing weight quick?
Oof. Well, first I would ask, why do you need to lose 5 pounds in one day? It definitely, if you have, there's no secret. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it like my coach says. Otherwise, you'll eat that too if you're fat. For me, I would say the biggest discovery I made in the past 13 years happened this last 2 years, and that was with the fasting. So I actually fast 20 hours a day, every single day for the last year and a half.
Wow.
Even during my bulking phases.
Wow. Now that's amazing. That's crazy. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I was always, bro science, classical bodybuilding. You need to eat every 2 hours, whether you're cutting or bulking, whatever. So I tried absolutely every single diet plan, every single training program you can imagine, because I like to test things for myself and see if it really works. I don't let any articles or any research bias my perception of a method until I try it. The only method I never tried was fasting, because I thought there's no way that's okay. You'll lose muscle, your metabolism will crash. I need food because I need to be creative, so I don't want to be tired when I'm in the studio or whatever, which was the biggest mistake I made, because once I tried fasting and I started to see the health benefits of, everything from your natural growth hormone will be higher. If you do your training fasted, you will burn a lot more body fat, but also the whole fact that fasting doesn't in fact lower your metabolism, but it increases your metabolism. So if you look at the evolution of humans, it doesn't make sense that if you haven't eaten for a day, that your metabolism will go down and that you will be slower. No, in fact, it revs up because your body is preparing itself to go for a hunt. It's time to go find food. So why would you be weaker and slower? Your metabolism, in fact, revs up. So there is kind of a point, 48 hours, 3 days, that then your metabolism will go down because you're just burning a lot more than you're getting in. But the fasting has allowed me to not only cut more efficiently, so lose body fat far quicker, but it also allowed me, even during my bulk, to keep my body fat lower. So I would say my biggest advice to anybody is do some research on intermittent fasting, especially if you have the body type I have. So I'm quite meso-endo. which means that I can gain muscle very quickly, but I get very fat very quickly. So if you look at my entire family, most of them are overweight, obese, very strong, but very, very overweight. So losing a lot of weight in one day, I never do that because I never have to, because the fasting and the dieting allows me to, to look how I want to look on a consistent basis all the time.
Listen, that's an amazing piece of advice, because honestly, I fast too. I'm fasting right now. What do you take when you're fasting? Are you taking amino acids? Are you drinking coffee? Are you drinking water? Like, give us some insight. We don't need sort of the products, but the actual, just the different elements of the things you're using.
Right. So when you do research on fasting, you'll find a lot of people saying it's not a fast unless you're only drinking water and nothing else. You're gonna ruin the health benefits of the fast even if you drink BCAAs. The biggest benefit that I found to fasting, and you probably noticed, during the day when you're fasted, you're not as hungry as you would be if you ate breakfast. Once you eat that first meal, I know for myself, I can't stop thinking about food. I'm thinking about the next meal already. So that in itself already is one of the major benefits. So in order to maintain my strength and my energy levels during my fast, just in case I am a little bit more depleted or I'm having a really strenuous day, I do use fat burners in the morning. And a good fat burner is not one that burns fat. It's actually something that can stabilize your energy and suppress your hunger. I do sip BCAAs throughout the day and during my fast. A lot of coffee. I'm not gonna lie. I drink 3-4 cups of coffee. Before I have my first meal. Pre-workout. And the pre-workout that I take is usually a non-stimulant one, so one that focuses more on the blood flow to make sure that the pumps are good. And protein powder, of course, multivitamins, just the typical stuff. Yeah.
And is there any modifications to your diet? Are you pescatarian, vegan? Give us some insight on your diet.
Well, I did try vegan for about a month and a half, a year ago. I have removed red meat almost completely. I don't eat pork. So my diet does still contain chicken, fish. And essentially there's not really any trick to what I'm eating or what I'm, my food choices. I'm not pescatarian. I'm not any of that. But I do calculate my calories and my macros quite accurately. I do keep track of that, daily, and I will have my cheat day and eat whatever I want. It's all calculated, and I make things fit in order to achieve my goals. So whatever that food might be.
Nice. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm actually very active on my Instagram DM. So anybody that sends me, a question or any kind of asking for advice, I do my best to answer everybody. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can do it through my Instagram direct messages, or you can visit my website and you can contact me through there.
Perfect. So just plug it. What's the website? Let everyone know, anyone that's listening.
Yeah, so it's TaviCastro.com, just my name together.com. And my Instagram handle is the same, Tavi Castro.
And then with Body Engineers, let's say there's people out there who want to get your clothing. What's the best way to get your clothing?
Yeah, so the website is engineer-life.com. That's our platform for Body Engineers. Yeah. And of course, right now it's not live, but we hope to be live by August or September.
Perfect. All right, listen, Tavi, man, you've given us some amazing info today, and honestly, you're super interesting, super unique. Thanks so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Jayson.